onto Arn and Wink and trying to make their life very difficult. Now though, IG going towards Nico first rotation. I wonder if this means that Leyan will get his jungle super early on, or if it's going to be anything else. Potentially thinking about snapping away this Renata, tear up the Renata Kalista duo just to ensure that you're not dealing with a very powerful 2v2. Then of course Renata can give you a lot of disengage in early dives, and especially once level 6 comes in.
And although we usually see, you know, something like Nautilus with it, I will just say, you know, Arn has the option of something like a Draven as well, right?
Yeah.
Nautilus already banned on the other side too, but we can see different iterations, especially with IG's bottom lane historically. AL on the other side, another power pick that is open here is the Karma left living and breathing. We just see the Smolder coming in now. It's not banned away. You said it had a bad week, or at least lead up to this Jamada. Maybe walking away and looking at what the LCK bottom lane is looking at as a priority, which is his center.
Exactly, center has been very, very popular across the world. Whether it's fasting, whether it's a lot of farming in the West, which, you know, I think a lot of us over in the LCS have been scratching our heads about. The fasting Senna definitely feels a little bit more powerful, and with Senna locked in, should be Senna with the Kalista in the bottom lane, which, whilst it's not the most aggressive duo in terms of setup, if they can find a jungler that has a little bit of CC, it's still a lot to work with. And you called out the Draven pick and lock in for Arn. It makes a lot of sense. You're into Kalista. It's one of the few champions that can go 1-to-1 in that early damage department, and it could definitely stave off a little bit of pressure just from Draven being in that bottom lane matchup.
And again, it's funny because they're both Draven players. Wink, before he retired, being an 80 carry. Then Arn kind of picked up the craft as well. So always love seeing Draven in the bottom lane hands of IG. As Poppy taken away in the interim. Feels like a ban just targeted towards Croco, especially since, you know, things like the Azir are still open. Still like optioning gauges for IG that probably need to be picked up here in the next rotation.
Yeah, I mean, there are quite a few picks that you can really try to ban down the hatches with and make sure that your bottom lane can remain safe. And Poppy is one of those things where if you're dealing with a stacked wave and you're on red side and Poppy hex flashes over the wall or just flashes or walks out of the tribush, because you can obviously get pretty free access to the turret, life gets miserable real fast. So I wouldn't be surprised to see IG remove away one more jungler that can really make early dives a very easy possibility. Perhaps something like the Viego could be a pretty easy target to remove from Croco's pool because Leyan doesn't really play it. It will be the Jarvan, which still kind of fits that same MO, right? Of looking for those early aggressive bottom lane dives. And Leyan can get pretty much pick of the litter after this next AL ban. Jax towards YSKM. Then the next one could just about be anything, right? It's YSKM. You could see a Fiora ban. You could see a target towards Leyan as well if they don't want to have to deal with anything weird and kooky out of his champion pool.
True, again, that's why I love this series, because again, IGAL, there's going to be a lot of those pockets that come out of nowhere. At least banning the Cassante is a good start because, let's be real, YSKM has loved it this split. 13 games, probably the most played top Cassante. At least taking away, again, one of those tools that IG could have looked at. Means that we have to start thinking again which direction Leyan will go here. Will they leave top for a counter? He's already picked up the Nidalee a couple of times this split. I mean, again, he's flaunting it.
I mean, happy to blind it. Right now, what's really nice about the Nidalee pick is there's not really a lot of hard engage on the side of anyone's legend, right? So it could potentially turn into a situation where if Leyan can get a very early lead and start to snowball it, if there's no, you know, ability to really get on top of Nidalee and the rest of what is a relatively mobile core, though a very heavy anti-dive core of IG, life could get really tough. This Lee Sin pick is going to facilitate some early plays, perhaps, and we'll see how Croco gets on. The champion pool was very much limited throughout a lot of these bans towards his champions, and Hery will land on this Aatrox. So will this be a YSKM Camille, or will it be a YSKM Renekton because there's Nidalee, or will it be a Fiora for the 1-to-1? It will be the Renekton. So this just screams to me, Hysterisc, IG have drafted a bottom lane they feel like can deal with themselves in the 2v2 from time to time, right? Not really struggling in terms of getting dove. And whenever Leyan can find the window and YSKM can set up the wave, they're going to go up there and just make Hery's life as miserable as possible, whilst Cryin should go 1-to-1 or take blows from Shanks in terms of finding priority whenever they can, and then look to roam alongside Leyan.
But then the only question I have for you is, like, well, if IG's comp doesn't find any of those windows, if they can't sort through these lanes, is it a simple case of AL just, well, we should 5v5 now because we'll always win, or what?
Simple, I don't know about that, but on a flat value level, I have to say yes. Anyone's Legends composition does have a much stronger floor of innate scaling to them with Senna, with things like the Karma as well to really facilitate even the champions you wouldn't necessarily expect to scale super well like Kalista and Lee Sin. So yeah, Anyone's Legend, if they have a very quiet early game, they wouldn't mind. I feel like the onus is a little bit on IG to try and get the ball rolling because there isn't really much a theme other than being sort of anti-dive on the bottom side whilst trying to look for early aggression towards YSKM's lane.
Well, keeping down in the pass has been kind of the way to go. I'm curious, so coming in as a guest, I mean, seeing IG at the forefront, we've seen some incredible games like the 2-0 against BLG earlier in the split. They're a bag full of surprises. While as AL, you can say the exact same thing. A lot of people had hype for this roster, and I feel like in the most part, they've delivered. Shanks has delivered, in particular for me. And once we get into Summoner's Rift, we now find out who joins the 8 club. The Security Club. As the gyros ring out.
I have missed that Hysterisc. I have missed those gyros. It is nice. As the top lane gentleman's agreement is going on our screen. I've never seen that. I'm not sure what Renekton skin that is, to be honest with you. But
I was just thinking the exact same thing. I was like, man, what are we looking at?
Someone get Aragon on the phone. He's going to know exactly what it is.
He's a skin guy, eh?
I don't know if he's a skin guy, but he is the Renekton guy. So I'm sure he'll be able to tell us immediately. Doesn't look like there's too many fishy shenanigans going on. Even though we had a look at Hery and YSKM there, it was, for the most part, a 5-point start across the map. And looks like jungle starts will mostly be hidden. Though, no, that's a friendly ward. So we'll see whether or not Leyan actually goes for that cross map. Because to me, that seems like Anyone's Legend are anticipating that there will be... Oh, okay, so this is very, very interesting. I think Arn and Wink are trying to feign that they leashed. And then maybe Leyan will go for an invade. But there's that defensive ward by Anyone's Legend. We'll see what the pathing is. Very, very cheeky from Arn to try and make it seem like they did give that leash over, as there is no information actually as to whether Leyan start was.
Comes out. There's a big trade, in fact. Arn takes a health trade on top of that as well. One summoner for one summoner, in fact, correct me. Wink also burning the Ignite down bot. That's rough.
Yeah, 2-for-1 start. Arn is going to go and lifesteal off Gromp. 1 auto attack. Sure, why not? In all fairness, Draven has such base damage off of having those spinning axes that lifesteal is a pretty significant stat in the early stages, having that Doran's Blade. So sure, knows he's going to lose out on this prio. Croco, however, is not going to go for a bottom side invade or even really shadow, hoping Kael, even though they've had this very, very positive start. So Leyan will have free reign and potentially free access to a gank down here, Hysterisc, if Croco doesn't make a return beeline down here very quickly.
We just talked about all these jungle shenanigans finally playing out. Leyan, moving to bot side, going to be difficult for now. Kael just moving between river, but didn't drop a ward, so maybe I don't need to say difficult for the time being, but there is a spot on this top side as Croco goes in for his defensive, I guess, clear to clear out and make sure that this Nidalee ain't in this top side. So again, it's just playing mind games here as there's the first spear drawn onto Kael. Kael, if I want to be particular. Spear's going to not connect. Wink looking for the chase as well. The level 2 Renata, not much able to be done. As we walk away and Leyan just continues trying to exert pressure and build a lead in the early game as you do.
Yeah, quite scary though. For Hope. And Kael not having Lee Sin be behind you when you're crashing in a wave like that. Especially with some of your combat summoner spells, specifically Exhaust already being down. But it's not going to amount to much. And Croco's pathing kind of being dictated entirely by the fact that YSKM is on this Renekton and a wave was stacking, afraid that Hery could get dove, so wanted to be there. Worst comes to worst. Didn't play out that way though, as YSKM gonna eat. Fair trade, but we'll send it all the way back.
Absolutely.
Very well done.
No level 6 gain, but again, we're not too far away. Level 4 on each carry. As Hery continues pushing in, now Leyan moves to the top side. Now, Hery's timing couldn't be better. He walks into brush, ready to ward, now flashes over, Leyan with the pounce as well, and as the Prowler finds the target, the spear does connect. Leyan thinking about the full engage, takes it and gets first blood. Nicely done.
Just beautifully done by Leyan. Lands both the spears, gets the chase down in. Flash was already used by Hery on the way out. Doesn't have to use it himself, and off to the races for Nidalee now. Has the topside camps the full clear to basically return to after picking up a kill. And we'll see how much of a lead Leyan can pull off of finding that one. It was a full solo kill. YSKM didn't even actually get an assist on it, so well done there. As we'll get the replay. And yeah, like you mentioned in the call, Jake, it's just unfortunate timing, to say the very least. YSKM doesn't really get in range to go for a flash ruthless predator, but it doesn't matter because Leyan knows the mind game, throws the spear downwards, and there's no more dashes available as Leyan is going to find Croco out. Won't allow for all three grubs to go over, but neither jungler has smite, so certainly something interesting is in the bottom lane. Trade.
At least a long-term Barney as we look to the short-term one. Arn is taking the brunt of the damage so far. Wink walks out with a heal, but they've separated. IG's bottom lane gets exhausted, and for the last call, can Arn find it? Not in time. Wink is going to die as well, and they've got hope. They've definitely got hope now in the bottom lane left standing after the biggest Barney we've seen.
Yeah, Wink's flash forward there with the handshake. If it connects, maybe they could bring Arn back with the bailout, but it's just not enough, and Hope's able to pick up the final kill on the return. Kael gets the other. And honestly, Senna, you don't mind getting gold up here. Missed whatever scuffle may have happened. It does end up with Leyan picking up one grub. So it means that anyone's legend won't secure all three, whilst the bottom lane trades up in kills.
But the problem is, you've already early on lost a lot of the adoration. You know, Arn died with that call. Arn died and left behind a push lane, meaning that 10 CS down now as we look at a replay in this 2v2.
Yeah, I mean,
when you die this early as Draven, it feels bad.
It does feel bad, and you're kind of right at that time in the game as well where the stacks are starting to come in and a gank would have felt great, right? Or finding a kill would have been great. The flash forward, the handshake here, if that connects and they can find Hope with the stun, then, you know, the trade goes a completely different way, but Wink fires wide, unfortunately, and it results in Hope and Kael winning out in that 2v2 entirely. And that does kind of set now a potential precedent for Hope and Kael, not only to start to take over the 2v2, but perhaps for Croco to look for a dragon, right? If you can get the wave stacked up, you can start to get those going for you, or you can even look for a dive. For now, lane presence remains in Wink and Arn's favor. The wave was crashed after that play, so it's only natural it will bounce back out. Cryin.
Pop Blossom, no. Okay. Flash away. Shanks with the summoner spell that won't be crucial, but Cryin without that ulti. Leyan trying to fake that, okay, now with enemy jungle nearby. Nope, Leyan just walks in, and I guess that stops the play.
Yeah, and this probably stops IG from getting Dragon. Whilst it's nice that Cryin gets the summoner spell out of Shanks, you need that ultimate available for a potential, you know, turn into a fight if you wanted to secure that Dragon. So now Leyan returns to the top side, like he's just going to clear out all of his camps. Maybe look for Anyone's Legend. So that's, surprisingly, even though at face value looks like a bit of a loss for Anyone's Legend, they're the ones that are going to secure this objective, even though they were the one that didn't quite have the timer just 30 seconds ago for it.
And any good early game bounce back is great for AL. You know, we talked about it a little bit at the end of draft. You know, for IG's composition, we know these early game tools have to function. Not only the Draven folks, but also that Renekton in the top side as well for YSKM. The one that's been pretty stable so far with Hery as well. And you can see Leyan is trying to play to this classic lane and try and get in and set him up.
Exactly. Hery, though, does have the tabbies, so those trades a little bit hard to confirm, lock down. Then we'll get the second spawn blue buff, and the Gromp's coming up, actually. So I wonder if he's going to look to commit for more than just this blue. Control ward. What's about Leyan? And Leyan doesn't really fancy the Gromp. Doesn't quite know where Croco could be at the end of the day. No, he does. He's going to go turn around for it. Croco's on the red. You can start to see a small bit of an experience difference begin to accrue as that base is prevented there. Leyan will get this Gromp. Shouldn't be stopped on the way out, and Croco will be down a couple of camps. Feels good for the Nidalee. He's looking now for a reset. Probably has a fair amount of gold in a back pocket as well, so not too bad for IG. They effectively do get a cross map on the Dragon, but still, you would have probably preferred the Dragon on the timer where it looked pretty good, but Cryin had to look for that trade. Tried to put Shanks out of commission, and in doing so, does technically cost IG the objective.
Well, look, 30 seconds till Grubs. We're talking about a composition that has things like the Renekton, like the Nico, that aren't amazing split pushers, but hey, put them in a side lane, you give the influence of Grubs, anyone's going to be happy. Point is, Jamada, IG at the moment, still working towards those 1 items, and if we get a fight around the Grubs, just kind of notice the fact that we don't have any completed items on Summoner's Rift right now. We have lethality in the game. We have Leyan with early game power as well. And with Renekton in early play, it feels like for IG, we should be setting that up as an easy objective.
Yeah.
Depending on bot, I guess.
It seems like there's going to be a 3v3 because Leyan is sat in his back brush. Croco, will he wrap all the way around? He will. And that root connects. That's the go signal.
Oh. I mean, Arn's at half HP already. There's a Fate's Call pulled on in. The carpet's laid out. Croco flashes away from it. That makes it a 3 versus 2, but teleports immediately coming in, turning into a team fight. Hope is the target for now with the Pop Blossom flash forward. Cryin sets it up. The Tangle Bud launches into 2. I mean, Shanks didn't even mean to be in the way.
Oh.
Arn gets a cash in. IG just given the red carpet of the game right then and there.
And I mean, this is what we're talking about, right? With IG's composition, whilst it doesn't necessarily scale the best, if there's one theme it's got going for it, it's really good at re-engaging, but also disengaging, right? You've got the Renard ultimate, Nico ult as well, comes in clutch, and you can see Croco, whilst his positioning initially looks pretty positive and promising, Leyan already being here, lands the spear, the Renard ultimate comes out the bush, he just has to go in full retreat, and then Hope kind of sets himself up to be in a 1 versus 3, dragging Kael into the ultimate, and then the chase down is just on from that point on. Flash forward comes out of Cryin, he knocks down another kill, and Shanks doesn't have the health bar to survive all of this damage, and the cashing comes through for Arn, and that's got to feel good after losing those early stacks a couple of minutes ago.
I mean, again, look, that enabled Leyan with the extra gold he got from the fight as well, moved straight into the Lich Bane. Like, it's a shame this man doesn't have Dark Steel, but Leyan on Nidalee in firm control of the game. I think a very good story when we're setting up that this guy in a carry jungle meta can really take over games. And when we know it's something like his Leyan, like his Nidalee, that Leyan is historically famous for, then I feel like they're in good hands, IG, especially turning the game bot side, moving ahead by 2K. And probably have a better grasp to fight this dragon now with the new enhanced power that's just come out of nowhere with the cash gold.
Yeah, exactly. Such a big injection of gold now means that the reality of the situation is IG for the next maybe 5 minutes or so can pretty much do what they want. It does kind of feel bad, I suppose, they didn't get that dragon early on extra or even more now that they've kind of found this surplus of gold to work with. But nonetheless, if they can really start to push down some towers, they've got 4 grubs. It's not 5, it's not 6, but the thing about grubs is they are a win more objective, so if you can get onto these structures, they do feel good. Croco is eyeing up a play onto Cryin, who is cosplaying as Arn. And whilst he does that, Hope doesn't be forced off the way for now as top lane.
Not bad, not bad. Hery's on the right side as well. YSKM with dominance, but still the power of Aatrox, again, cannot be understated. It's definitely not the quote. But I feel like somewhere in there, Aatrox sounds like that, you know? I was, you know, as we wait for Dragon, I was watching the other day. I was actually watching Kill, wasn't I? Not important right now. Leyan's behind them. Spear's going to connect. We're going to ignore me. The Fate's Call saves today. Re-engage actually there. As well as Kael just doesn't care. He's got the ult in hand, and they've got a pinch. Croco comes in, flashes forth, but no one landed on. Wink's just abandoned. But after everything, it's like flash, flash. AL finally get a target.
That's so funny. Arn and Leyan have basically frame-perfect flashes to ensure that Croco can't get a good kick. And Wink is unfortunately just a little bit too far away to make an escape possible. That'll be second dragon over to anyone's legend. And even though it's a Cloud, which comes in as the Rift and Soul for this game, you still feel pretty good about it, to be honest with you, when you're the ones with, I would argue, significantly better scaling one-to-one, and I feel like even how you interact with this comp at times, you can probably still play space no matter what, even with all of the disengage tools. Here you can see Wink just unfortunately takes the wide angle out of all 3 of them, and it means he can't flash into any safe space. Croco is able to just walk up to him and kick him. Unfortunately, he goes down, but anyone's legend will smile at that sacrifice. And as we mentioned, get that next dragon, and it could even snowball here to this Herald, which is the start-up. Cryin behind the pit. It doesn't seem like IG have any inclination to contest this, and Anyone's Legend, they're now claiming back some of that gold as well that they lost from that bottom side skirmish earlier on.
Very true. I mean, again, it's important because they've got dragon stacking as well. So we could go on like a we could go. I was going to say go on like a dead flute. Where does that come from?
Sure.
Yeah. As
I
apparently dead flutes make lots of noise. Point being, Jamada, we were going on earlier on about how AL as a team, you know, bit of time on their side as well in certain situations. We've had some of those cash-ins, we've had some of those pop-ups of damage, but we know sitting on a Karma on the other side, we know that the tools we've seen when it comes into something like a pinch act very well, right? So again, 2 dragons, time on their side, feels like maybe the gold lead doesn't have as much perspective as it could.
No, it definitely doesn't. Gold lead feels a little bit like a fake one. As we mentioned, not having those dragons stacked up, and the first items have come in across the board, and Anyone's Legend have very strong first items, right? Blade the Rune King, Malignance on Karma, we know how that interaction works. Sundered Sky for Croco and Hery on the Sin and Aatrox respectively. Very, very powerful tools to deal with if they can get on top of the IG members. And that's kind of going to be the cat and mouse game, right? The theme of this next couple of minutes will be all the disengage tools that IG have. We could see them in action here as the Herald's been dropped by Anyone's Legend. They just want to chunk out this mid lane tier 1 if possible. I doubt a full takedown will be possible.
Yeah, no way. Only a little chunk that comes through. I mean, half HP, Herald dissipates. Now moving up to top side to see if we can clear some vision away. But for AL, a no timer available in their point of view. 2 minutes 15 for Dragon, 3 minutes 30 for the Baron coming up as well. We mentioned the gold lead a little bit before, but we kind of transgress. I mean, it is nice to see. We've had a bit of a slower start, Jamada, and yes, I can say that at 8 kills, especially with this region. But it feels like, you know, we've kind of been seeing the perspective of teams that have developed on their rosters or brought in developing players, and the temperament that's been given to 2 teams who have before just throw anything at the wall and stick. Like the game could be decided and over by now if we're talking about IG and AL from last split or over the years before.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. The way things have gone for them in historical recency, I suppose. So it's definitely nice to see a game where, even though there is a gold lead for now for IG, very much could go either way. I think this next dragon, third dragon, is always kind of a soft indicator, right? For how the remainder of the game will likely go, unless there's some heavy scaling implications on one side. And that definitely isn't present here. A lot of execution is going to be the name of the game in this one. No comps to play themselves, as I feel like we've looked a lot at the top lane, and it's been YSKM goes in, has a trade with Hery. Hery oftentimes seems to trade it back pretty well, 1-to-1. And then they sustain back up off the waves, and then they do it again in about 2 minutes time. And Sundered Sky definitely weighs Hery's trades a little bit more in his favor, you have to imagine. And they sustain just off the auto attack. So YSKM, whilst he's not struggling in that 1v1, it's more or less just gonna end up clearing those waves alongside Hery. We get another look at the wet noodle fight. As Dominus will get popped.
They see Dominus. Okay, we also get the World Ender as well. Hery feeling confident about the trades, but it's pretty standstill neutral, as we've seen so far. I mean, we just follow the trend, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just how that matchup has gone forever. It's like Redecton goes in, gets a nice looking trade. The problem is, a lot of the times, Dominus gets popped after both the Slice and Dice have been cast, and World Ender gives movement speed, so he just walks away, just stares him down. But those are almost not going to be available for this dragon. It seems like, however, that could be a non-factor, as doesn't seem like AL are too invested. They're kind of window shopping right now. Teleport's going to come through now, however.
Yeah, they've opened the door, definitely. The window being cracked open by some looters as well, as we're looking for a flash from Cryin. We get it. Tangle Barb layers down. Arn gets a catch, but that knock-up was bigger. Oh, Hery flies through, and the setup beautiful, and with everything in between. IG now on the run. Their pursuit continues under the turret. YSKM with a flash away. But AL, again, with a big turn. Make it a numbers game.
Yeah, I think that was the ultimate there from Kalista. Kael finds that massive knock-up, and that just makes the turnaround really, really sweet. Flash away from him as well, initially to get away from Crayon's attempt to lock him and Croco down. Turnaround's good. They lose out on the Dragon Anyone's Legend. I don't think they mind picking up a couple of those kills. The only real issue for them is that Arn did cash in a fair amount of gold, I want to say. So Cryin looks for the angle. Good reaction from Kael. Croco not so lucky. Gets CC'd in. Arn 568 gold. But as we kind of mentioned, that knock-up kind of just sends IG in full retreat, and the chase down is on. Not able to find much more, however, unfortunately for themselves. There's a couple more Summoner Spells are blown on the back end of the exchange. Still good looking fight for Anyone's Legend, even through some of those tools that we were talking about IG have at dissuading forward movements from the Anyone's Legend members. Teleport. A little bit.
Oh, there's a kick flash. Pop Blossom negated as well. Sonic Wave under turret, and Shanks TP'd in for this. So with the AoE damage, you better hope that he picks up the kill, but no, it's Croco in the end. But they commit a teleport for the play up and top side, while IG try and find priority and finally open up mid. But again, that feels like a wishful score at this point.
Yeah, wishful thought for sure.
One.
As Wellbender gets popped there, Hery in trouble,
Wink.
but so is Wink.
He's close to dying. Sonic Wave is going to connect. Croco thinking, but a handshake would stop the play as well. IG taking a bit of brute damage on the way out. Again, yeah, no big finds apart from Cryin getting picked in top side.
Yeah, no Summoner Spells blown here in the mid lane. In the top side, though, different story. Was Croco finds that kick flash onto Cryin, and like we mentioned as well, teleport blown by Shanks results in a tower takedown. So they get what they were looking for. It felt, admittedly, a little bit forced at first, right? Cryin actually does one of the safer things he could have done, sends in the clone to try and scout out, but he still gets found out by Croco. Kick flash comes in. Cryin as well tries to use the clone to block that Mantra Q. Unfortunately, the AoE is just a little bit too big, and he still eats that damage. So well earned by Anyone's Legends. They pick up the tower on the back end of it, and they just secure a little bit of extra structure gold. In the grand scheme of things, push themselves further ahead. And speaking of being further ahead, Arn is a full item up on the Hope right now. Doesn't have tier 2 boots, but still, opportunity, Youmuu's Essence Reaver. And with Hery only being the dedicated frontliner, if he's right-clicking anyone else on the team, even Croco really, they're gonna die. They're not gonna have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, again, look, Arn, with how he is in this game, I just want to put focus on the fact that Youmuu's opportunity, just such a strong duo on Draven. The ability to reset W comes off every axe landed as well. Having that little bit of extra boost in as well, Arn's going to be running faces. And as you said, Hery's got to find his target. It's got to be Arn here, who now focuses far in the mid lane, and AL get pushed away from said lane. With Baron spawning as well, that's a bit of a fight over vision. IG, for the time being, seem to have won.
Yeah, I think with the limited engage tools that Anyone's Legend have as well, really hefty spear comes in. I'm really looking at Croco to try and find a good insect. Hery maybe on a good flank angle as well around an objective. Those are going to be the main ways that we ever see IG get broken down with the kind of competition they have. So long as Cryin and Wink are in good positions to always look in front of multiple people to find those big ultimates, IG, they're going to have a really steadfast defense around anywhere they set up. So Anyone's Legend, they want to try and gain priority around this mid lane, gain priority around whatever lane is the one that's in focus, and be, you know, in the river first, ensure that it's IG trying to walk into them. Otherwise, their life will definitely be on the harder side of things if they're trying to find successful fights.
Well, clearing out some of the vision at least starts that process in action. IG going to be walking blind in 20 seconds to what is going to be AL's third dragon. And AL leading to an early Cloud Soul. I mean, still on the cards for this game. With champions like Kalista, with Shanks, who has it up every 2 seconds. I mean, it is very useful for AL as IG, again, forcing their way in. Gets a little bit messy. YSKM tries to slice and dice. He now dominuses, but Hery pulls that ulti out. The engage stops for the time being. IG walk in front of the dragon. For AL, the retake is still a very healthy team to do so.
Yeah, you can see Croco, like we was talking about, he needs a good kick here. He's looking for that angle. That dragon's going to reset, so this could make things awkward. IG need to commit a little bit more forward if they want the dragon, but I don't think they want to. Good tangle barbs!
Pop Blossom. That's all it takes, isn't it? Renata flies through. And that's all she wrote for IG. A beautiful pick, and it starts with Cryin.
And they had vision on him because Croco was looking for the angle, but just not able to react. The skill shot goes through the wall. Double root, double kill. And IG, not only do they get the objective, they can stare down the Baron. Anyone's Legend, I think they might just have to seed this. They're going to look perhaps for a steal at best, but I think it may be wishful thinking, Hysterisc.
And there's a reason why Cryin is to get set up champions. Again, looking towards an eco, but no ulti available. Halts me is at 3.5k for IG, pushing down the Baron. It holds the aggro, and IG are holding AL a bay handshake away for Croco. Means no steal, as again for YSKM setting up position, needs dominance, but he doesn't have it available. Jamada, AL have teleported in, and for Shanks, the pullback is huge. The ulti, massive wink getting spread away as Croco gets a big kick that saves the game, or maybe the life, but no. In the back end, Wink stays alive thanks to Arn's help, and IG, they might lose members, but they still get the Baron. You got to weigh up the word as AL push the fight. Yeah,
IG just kind of toying with the idea of maybe finding a fight, but teleports come through from the solo lane as caught out on the previous play. Able to make things work. Leyan was on the red buff, it's reset. Is looking to try and defend this mid lane, but that's gone. Big Mantra Q won't result in a chase down. Red reset, he's going to lose it now. He's probably going to feel quite bad about that. But IG are going to feel even worse about losing 2 towers in the mid lane. They're not going to lose out on this tier 2 up in the top side. Likely Hery will look for a reset. But nonetheless, not the most successful Baron in the world that you'd like. Down 1.1k off the power play. And remember, of course, you always start 1,500 cold up. Just from the takedown itself. So, not the best gold swing you'll see on a Baron play. Leyan trying to make up for it. Find this tower down here on the bottom side. Here's the initial play though, right? Cryin, of course, has a different champion. Croco, even though he's got vision on it, it's just not enough information, I suppose, to react from. If you remember, Cryin was in a different form as we come out of the replay.
Oh, Leyan flashing in, almost finding Croco. It takes one more spear, doesn't land. The Protobelt does though. The range massive as Shanks gets pulled back, and IG Avengers, man, start the trumpet. They're just all here. Yeah, the Avengers beam in the bottom lane. And remember, some members still have Baron, so this wave buffed up. Shanks, the main form of wave clear. Croco, the main form of finding an engage onto a key member. So IG could very reasonably turn this into an inhib with an extended siege. Very, very difficult for these AL members, remaining ones, to stand up. So easy as you like. Still 20 seconds left on Shanks. I don't think they'll turn it into more, but an inhib off of... Well, we didn't really get to see the start of the play, did we? What feels like nothing is a pretty good deal. If you're IG, you'll happily take that one, as we will see how it starts. It's just Leyan looking for the tower. Croco tries to find the ankle. Obviously doesn't know that Wink is there. Good kick for a disengage, but the issue is another spear lands and forces Croco into full retreat. Protobelt locks him down, and then Shanks, well, just a victim, I suppose, of Croco's idea of a pick. That's rough. But for IG, again, it continues to and fro with this game. Like, there have been some pretty big moments. Now I even say for both teams. You know, the Kalista getting set up from the picks before, 3 items. But for IG, as this Baron now expires, they just run it down mid anyway. What's the macro happening here, Jamada? Like 2 turrets, open mid just like that. AL trying to set up for a flank afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, Croco, find the Lee Sin. Did they have eyes on him there? I don't think they did. They're about to, very likely.
Handshake's going to start off Tangle Barbs as well. Wow, that burst. He didn't have a chance.
Poor guy. Leyan, don't forget, is 3 items, and one of those items is a death cap. So, literally, he's dealing a lot of damage, especially when the target has not a lot of MR. No MR, actually, in Croco's case. Not that I can blame him. As now, they've gone from one lane to another to another. They've gone bot to mid, broken both those mid towers, and even though the Baron is no longer on them, they will happily look for this tier 2 up here. And with the Lich Bane, 3 item Nidalee, it is like hot knife, a hot knife through butter.
True. Butter.
Butter. Thank you for reminding me how English I am.
Hey, it is great. It's so good. I mean, I say butter. Like, butter. It's kind of worse. Yeah, like there's D's in there. Dude, don't worry. Every time if I ever criticize the English language or a British accent, it's because I'm like, God, that's similar. You know?
Hey, man.
Wait, bro, we even stole your Vegemite, which is called Marmite, which is absolute trash. No offense, Vegemite goes hard.
Oh.
But I'm telling you.
I am not a Marmite enjoyer, so you know you could keep that one. That's all.
Well, I convinced Dagda to start taking Vegemite. He actually now buys it free willingly, right? And think similar to Marmite for the British people out there.
Huh.
But it's more yeasty, I think. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. Maybe more salt. I don't know.
Yeah, more salt. Is it sour? Is it more sour than
Australians gonna have to help me out. People who are thinking about this right now, same as me, same time, same place. Vegemite is more salty. Maybe not more sour. Maybe it's not. It's more savory. It's definitely saltier. Now, for everyone at home, I apologize. The reason we've gone into this is because all of a sudden IG are up 5K. And now I'm kind of just amazed and sitting here gawking and waiting for what happens next, because Jamada, it's in 3 swift moves. Mid, outer, mid, inner, mid, inner, top. And we just saw IG run the map for like, I don't know, what was 30 seconds? Just to pull up a big gold advantage and just gain more control. I'm not even sure what happened. I mean, now it's just more chill for them.
All came off that bottom side play, right? It just enabled so much tempo for them to move across the map. And they used the back end, the very, very back end of their Baron buff to secure those mid towers, and were able to out-rotate for the final tier 2 in the top side. And with this much control, this Baron, it feels like it should be a foregone conclusion, but AL, they know if they give this up, the likelihood is they won't survive a siege. The issue is it's already at 5.5k, and even with a wayward Wink ultimate,
it's done.
It's done.
But is the fight done? YSKM slice and dice in, and he sets it up. The Predator's out as IG taking a bit of damage, but Hery taking the team by himself. He can't do it because Cryin comes in, flies in, and seals the deal. Khan is sick of taking all the bullying this game as a triple kill comes out for the Draven, and IG find it perfectly again.
And that should be game 1 of this series. IG, a little bit messy, but at the end of the day, found the important picks when it mattered. And that turn was juicy, to say the least, from Cryin. A couple minions to work with, just Croco alive. He was the only one that was going to be able to find any kind of good engage this game, and he will be the last one to fall for anyone's legend as IG go 1-up in the series.
Well, nice start for IG. As you said, they had us on the ropes for a little bit. But we saw again Leyan taking control early. I think the biggest thing about this Italy comp was we knew this jungler could not be useless Jamada. But I think also for Leyan to have control of the early game is kind of what we know Leyan for historically, and how he did take over games on things like RA during their best periods.
Yeah, I mean, Nidalee, was it 14-4? You know, I have lived through so many multi-patches, especially last year, where it's like LEC was on 13, 15 or whatever, and then everyone else is on different patches. But Nidalee, of course, buffed as well, so very, very powerful, very easy to get through those clears. So Leyan, he's living in his own little wonderland, and he did end up taking over the game, especially towards those latter ends, which probably wasn't what we was expecting more early game focus from IG. It wasn't quite there, but the mid game is where it all came together.
Well, again, props to AL for keeping us on the ropes as well. But ladies and gentlemen, as IG open up this series and opens up our return, we're going to have a short break and then return with hopefully a bag of games.